six pack Lapadat, and we got how many medals have you got from Worlds now?
Shit, I mean, I've been to Worlds twice, so
But
two-time
you
silver medalist.
two-time silver medals, world record breaker, but also in individual medals as well. But whatever, you,
Yeah.
you got so many. But between your two experiences, and now obviously you're going to Sheffield and breaking worlds, freaking you had a dogfight at nationals to get onto the world team. Um, Jonathan Garcia. Anyway, sorry, that was an intro. I almost started getting into the topics here as we start reminiscing on your career. Let's where should we pick this up? Because you've had a year of change, private life, powerlifting, um, your coaching staff, freaking now going into worlds and had probably the best battle I've ever seen. No, not probably. That was the best battle I've ever seen ever in any worlds I've ever commentated on. I mean, that was fantastic. And now you're going to be there at Sheffield. And then on top of that, 66 kilo class might be the hottest division now. In the big news about Shell dropping down. Um, fuck, there's so much to cover. Let's rally back a little bit, probably. Let's pull it
Yeah, wherever
back,
you want to
maybe.
start, let's do it. Wherever you want to start.
Let's talk about worlds. Because we haven't had a
Okay.
chance. We talked about the on the live podcast, but not a chance, me and you, just me and you.
Yeah.
Um, did you know? Okay, first off, going into that, how was prep? How were things? You have Joey Flex on the squad now.
hmm
How was this prep, and how were you feeling going into Worlds?
I was so I guess let's address. There was a few questions at once, so let me address going into Worlds. I felt okay. I had tore my abductor about 2, 3 weeks after Nationals. So Nationals was, of course, obviously a big undertaking. I had to basically break the damn world record to secure my ticket to Lithuania. So that was taxing. That was a full max day. Maybe had a little bit more on the bench, but as we discussed before, I was literally dealing with a back injury during Nationals. So we went conservative. Probably could have done a little bit more on the deadlift, but we felt comfortable where we were get you know going into the final deadlifts that we didn't have to do so much. But jumping right after nationals into prep, I really tore my abductor really bad, and it was
Mm.
so high in my groin. I, I couldn't do deadlifts for like 2, 3 weeks or squats, believe it or not. I had to squat on a box to do like box squats because I couldn't go down all the way. So it severely affected my deadlift, my grip, and you saw the result in Lithuania. Um, Talking about the meet, just to kind of address my opinion on it, and I do see that a lot of people think of it as like a great battle. I wish I could agree with that, but I just really don't.
I
It
really,
it really, Ryan, because a battle is you give some ground, I give some ground, and we clash in the middle. And I just felt like that was like who misses less. You know what? I don't know. It's hard to describe. So for me, a battle would be I throw, 270, Pana throws 272.5, then I come in and throw 275. That for me is a bit more of a battle. Like we're hitting and whoever hits hardest wins. And this came down to a body weight situation. People could argue Jonathan could have benched more. Of course I could have. Jonathan could have squatted more. He went too conservative and that cost him the W. Of course I could have squatted more. And I don't see it as like an epic battle. I know it's crazy and it's fucking ludicrousy that we all ended up three-way tie and the winner was a few ounces on body weight.
mm,
I don't see that in me specifically as being a part of it as like epic or like a fucking crazy battle. I think it was just a lot of bad decisions from my side, definitely also from France's side, making a bad call on that third deadlift. Um, you know what I'm talking about? So
mm.
I don't know. I can't say it was a battle. I mean, it definitely was a battle in a sense, but it wasn't like as epic as, at least for me, as like how other people are seeing it. Because I know that I could have won that competition and I should have won that competition. And I just, and that goes into just, why I kind of did a little bit of changing in my coaching staff. And if you want to talk about that, we can.
Sure. Yeah, yeah. Well, first off, before we skip, could it be though it was a battle due to decisions you made then? Could it be that, or is it because the thing is you were in it, so it'll feel different, especially if you walk away with a taste in your mouth, like if I had dropped the hammer, maybe then I would have felt better about it. So
Hmm.
then because yeah, you 2020 hindsight, and you're like, God damn it.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, going into going into the prep, I had done 280, 285 on the squat, and having a meeting with Matt Gary and Arian pre-competition, like video chat, like we're doing, going over scenarios, going over game plans. I was a part of all those conversations. No conversation, no call was made without my consent. So I'm not saying that someone picked a bad card for me to play. We played it conservative, thinking that XYZ was going to be enough. In hindsight, I wish that I would have been a little bit more vocal on how I personally felt on the safe game plan. I mean, had I hit my third deadlift, 100% would have been world champion. There's no doubt about it. So again, the execution fell on me, and I'm not blaming anybody whatsoever. I will never do that. I just wished that we would have been more aggressive on the squat. I mean, my third squat, I remember, I'll probably always remember it, standing up and being like, fuck, where this is way too light.
Mm,
Like, fuck, that's my third squat. We left way too many kilos out there. Like, I just remember walking backstage, like, fuck, that was way too easy. You know what I mean?
mm,
Then I was like, well, let's make up for it on bench because my bench has just been on fire. And then we were a little conservative on the bench. We made a bigger jump, and then I almost got the same feeling on the bench. Like, man, I probably had at least another 7 kilos in me, maybe more, maybe I know 5 for sure. But I was like, all right, well, let's hope the deadlift warm-ups were going good. Each competition obviously is breaking in third. It's broken in third. So squat, I was disappointed. I remember walking away, literally the middle of the lift, standing up, like, fuck, I just left too much on the platform. And then feeling somewhat on the bench, but 3 for 3. Okay, let's get the ball rolling. And then obviously missing my third deadlift due to grip, and I just, man, it was a really 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 tough feeling. Missing that third, sitting backstage, completely alone. Um, I don't know. I don't ever want to feel that way again. I felt like I had left a lot on the platform. I felt like I didn't give my best performance that I know that inside I had that day. And I mean, I've swallowed that pill. I mean, my pride was hurt. Of course, feeling embarrassed. Um, I never want to be second place and hearing some other national anthem being played and me just have to sit there and take it. That was a hard thing to do, knowing the sacrifices that I had made and knowing what I was capable of and not doing it on the day was extremely difficult to be up there. And I really did kind of spiral into this, man, some deep depression on that, to be honest with you. I'm talking about. And I know that's not cool to say. I know that's not cool to admit, but for me, just really small inside. And it was hard. It was hard to come back from that, man. It really was. It was a deep, deep emotional wound. And I just, man, I didn't sleep at all that night. And then we had the podcast, and I had to act like I was, lively. And I just, man, it was tough. It was tough. I locked myself in my room, the hotel room, till it was time to go. And I didn't want to speak to nobody. I didn't really speak to my wife at all, my kids at all. It was tough. That was a tough experience to come out of. And I wish in some way or form, Pana or Kasemsand would have lifted more than me, I would have felt so much better. But the fact that it was literally as close to any man can possibly get to winning drove me in fucking insane.
So, well, first off, absolutely love the transparency. You always got transparency. We've had some amazing podcasts, me and you. But let's unpack that a little bit. So yeah, off the hop, you not sleeping at all that night and then showing up and doing that live podcast is absolutely that was a phenomenal discussion even out of itself. You did amazing on that live podcast. You, Kasim San Penna, reliving the Battle of 66 is one of the most popular podcasts we did. You did a phenomenal job. And you put your game face on, and I appreciate you, sir. But why do you think it is that it was so difficult at Worlds for that pill to swallow? Is it, yeah, why do you think it was?
Just for me, I just had been on my son's birthday, and that was very challenging too. Missing his first birthday and having Jessica send me like a video of them singing happy birthday to him, like before going to lift and weigh in and all that. I was very like in a very like emotional, a weird emotional bubble, you know, I want to say I felt gun ho and let's fucking rip the world in half, but be honest with you, I just wanted to be home with my kids. That was really tough for me. I thought I could handle it. Like, okay, yo, I'll see him when he get home, and Dad will throw a party and all that. But like, it was just really tough for me to not be there for his first birthday. I had an absent father, and it just made me feel like shit emotionally. I thought that I could handle it, and be like, oh, not a big deal. Um, but the whole day, I just felt like, man, I just kind of want to be home with my kids, and yeah, it was like it was a weird, everything leading up to Worlds in my personal life was very challenging. I switched, I left my job, like we were discussing earlier. I left my job to start at a new dealership, and that was a huge change. A week before before Worlds. Me and my old lady separated for a little bit, or we were having some issues there a little bit right before the World Championships as well. So like I just felt like ostracized a little bit from all the normality that was like the staples of my life. So many pieces were shifting, and then I got the injury, and I just felt like holy shit, man. And like everything was going so great, went so great during, at nationals. And now I'm trying to like left pick up the pieces and put something together for Worlds. And then the Worlds didn't work out how I wanted it to. And again, man, just really just I fell into a state of a little depression there. And that's very, not normal for me. And I had to seek some outside help and guidance with that to try to navigate those very complex feelings, because weightlifters, powerlifters, we love to, obviously show the highlights, show the big lifts, show the wins.
Mm.
But I think that an area where more men gals need to be a little bit more open is the emotions that come with the losses, the emotions that come with not living up to your potential, because we hold our breath in prep and prepare climbing up this mountain to be at this peak. And when we're not the guy standing tall in first place, there's a lot of emotions that come behind that. You know what I mean? That a lot of guys just bury deep down. And I think I don't know, this was a little bit eye-opening and a real big learning experience for me on how to handle the losses and how to handle not living up to your potential in that moment. It doesn't mean you're not a good lifter. Doesn't mean you're not an amazing athlete or father or partner. It just wasn't the day. The chips didn't pan out. So you have to reflect and see, okay, what can I do better going forward? Because we can't change the past. So in retrospect, it was a good thing for me to learn how to handle that side of my emotions that I was kind of unfamiliar on how to deal with.
First off, it sounds like you had a lot going on all at once, which
I
could
did.
be, I mean, if if health is going good, or work is going good or personal life is going good, cool. But if health gets shaky or personal life or work, hopefully not all of them at once. Hopefully not all of them at once. Now, you were relatively healthy. You had injuries with sports injuries, but obviously young man in your physical prime. So that was okay. But personal life, your job change, even if you got a new job, the scariness of jumping from one to the other, one you've been in for years and we're killing it, to a brand spanking new one, that excitement, but also there's got to be some tentative feelings to it. We've all been there. So that alone will have something lingering in the back. Now, you won't fully grasp on in your day to day, but it's there. And it's happening at an inopportune time where you're battling for a world title and the world's watching in your community. And then at the same time, you're saying in your personal life, um, with your lady friend, it becomes, if that's also, you know, the stress where, we are talking offline about when you have your partner and you're used to going to your partner with stress. So when you go from one job to another, you're used to certain communications, you're used to, and then when you're dealing with something and worlds is coming up and you're used to something and that's not there for that particular period, and it's everything gets a whole lot scarier. Show up at worlds and you're like, fuck, I'm feeling some weird feelings here. And my
Hmm.
life is I'm feeling some turmoil. You're at worlds and I could now paint that picture. Now, yes, your son's birthday comes around and yeah, you might be like, I kind of sort of want to be with my son right now, as
Hmm.
opposed to, maybe on any other given year, it might have been, let me rip the world in half due to a lot of other stuff. It makes sense. And then the buildup to it being on your son's birthday, and you're like, I have to do this. The pressure you're going to put on yourself. Well, if I'm going to miss his
Hmm.
birthday and it's going to be a special story, I have to win. But there
100%.
is no, exactly. And then it becomes built up too much for one day. One day should never be built up to be like, well, what does this all mean? One day never defines any of us or defines our year, defines anything like that. But we tell ourselves that sometimes. In
No, for
your
sure.
particular
Absolutely.
situation, you could see your particular situation could be a really tough setup. So then, I mean, look at you said you felt embarrassed, but my friend, the rest of the community thought that is one of the most sensational battles. It is the most sensational battle I've ever seen. In mind eye, in most people's mind's eye, nothing to be embarrassed about. I'll never forget you and what you guys did that day. You A sports memory. Let me just tell you now that we're looking back, and maybe years to come when you look back, you'll see it this way. That was a sports memory. That was a memory I'll never forget. Live when it was happening, it was so special. I remember saying, "This is something special." Nobody who watched that will ever forget it. When we did Battle of the Year, so every single category was mixed results. That one wasn't. Battle of the Year, that was it. That one's yours. And um, yeah, to hear afterwards what you went through, it makes sense. Knowing what you went through leading in and the expectations you had, it makes sense. Don't get me wrong. I think years to come, you might look back and maybe you'll rewatch the video and memories, you could recalibrate it. But I get it because if you built that up and then you go home and then all of a sudden you know, it's not a laid out home that you were looking for, the support you're looking for.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. When I got back, things were still rocky between me and Jess, you know. And not to get too personal, but if you're gonna do one of these, I want everybody to know, get to at least know me as a person other than a powerlifter, I'm just like everybody else. Had a lot of shit going on and we're not professional athletes in the sense where this is our life and all of our bills are taken care of and everything is, you know what I mean? We're all millionaires, we're just average Joes who happen to be a little strong, trying to put some shit together on the platform. So that was very challenging too, and that's kind of went for me seeking, some therapy, some outside help to kind of realign my goals, see what I needed to do. For I always like to say like I get to pretend to be like an athlete for a little bit, because as a dad, as a partner, full-time job, you're so many roles that powerlifting for me is just like a little hour and a half workout every night or every, you know what I'm saying? So I get to sneak away and kind of do that. And then a couple times a year, I get to have like a trip and an event and everything like that. But, you know, trying to, how do I say this? This was the most difficult transition being from Jonathan the powerlifter to Jonathan the person after Worlds. It was very difficult for me to slide back into being the car salesman, being the dad, being the partner. Because when I got back, my life was a little shaky on personal relationships, things like that, and I couldn't shed what happened at Worlds. Like I couldn't shed the power lifter. It just was like I was still in that moment and I felt trapped in it. I felt suffocated by it. I felt just surrounded by it and I just couldn't break away and it was very mentally taxing on me to shed that and just be me again.
It's interesting. I know you and Pana are like rivals on the platform, right? However, I mean, we done podcasts together. We went out for lunch together, but he was on the podcast after the same battle as you, and he had very similar feelings because just like you, he expressed how tying on body weight or tying on total, sorry, and you guys having a tie but losing on body weight, he said more than a little bit difficult. He also hedged a lot on this win on the personal side for him. And he said on the podcast when he went home, he's we did it in like December, and he said I'm it's so like a month ago. He's like I'm not over it, and he's like
Yeah.
I'm still living it. He's like I'm
Hmm.
still not over it. I'm still
Yeah.
living it. I'm still trying to cope with what happened. And I don't not everyone's going to be able to understand like how passionate you guys are about these pursuits.
Yeah. I
But
mean,
that's
not
fine.
everybody sees the sacrifice, They see
Right.
the 10-second clip on Instagram where they get shared or somebody sees it on your page, you know what I mean? And they see the glory, they see the win, but they don't see the fails, they don't see the hours of work, they don't see, you getting home at 9:30 and then doing heavy squats after, 12, 13-hour shift. They don't see those things, but they're not supposed to. They're fans. They don't want to see that shit. They want to see the highlights. They want to see the good stuff. They want to see the end zone, the red line, they want to see somebody about the score. That's where the sport fan really lies. So that's why I like podcasts like this because it gives an
Mhm.
insight. You know what I mean? Gives an insight to the lifter. And, I think that I definitely have accrued more fans. A couple years ago, I would probably say that I didn't have any fans that I felt like, you know what I mean? But over the past, I would say year and a half, definitely have had more people reaching out, and I feel like I definitely have some fans out there. So it's pretty cool and I think it largely is part of, doing the podcast, things like that, and just people kind of getting to know me behind the scenes versus just seeing a heavy squat that's, impressive, but no really substance to the human behind them.
Dude, there's absolutely no way people hear your previous podcast and don't root for you. I've had people say like some people were from the other countries and be like, "All right, look it, I got to side with my countrymen, but that's a hell of a fucking backstory." Like it's very
Hmm.
difficult to not be like, "Oh, how do you not hear that and not be rooting for this
Hmm.
guy?" Eurosport. Remember, you had already left on the plane. I think you were
Hmm.
already Eurosport. You're not European, obviously, for everyone listening. You're American, and you were going against a European, and they were like, "We want to talk with Jonathan if he's still here." I'm like, "Fuck, let me try to get him," but you had already been gone. But that's how good
Yeah.
your story is. That's how good when people hear it. You know, you coming up and battling like you do. It's yeah, it is awe-inspiring, and the fact that that entire podium that grew with 707.5, but split the draw on body weight, you get to run it back. You all get to run it back at World Games. How does, was there any
Hmm.
consolation to that? Was there any, okay, okay, this isn't over yet. The same people, we're going to run this back and let's see what happens.
Not necessarily. Not in my personal opinion. Not in my personal opinion. Um, of course, all three of us would say we were the better lifter that day. I think that I want to say I was the strongest 66 there that day. Prep, everything didn't. So my total didn't reflect what I was capable of. And I guess this will lead into the coaching change and everything like that. So full transparency, I mean, I've said this online before, but for the past since tw- since tw- since like hmm, since like the middle of COVID, I would say since like October of 2021, I had been on using the Juggernaut AI app, and you and I talked about this for a little bit, um, for coaching and or programming, I would say. So, coming back from Worlds, I was like, all right, where's the fucking issue? Because me being very frustrated, hitting the prep weights that I did very close to body weight. And body weight is not something that I walk around like, very heavy. I walk very close. So it's really just a water cut, and that's never really does it affect my strength. So I, was doing some programming with Arian and seeing some mixed results, inconsistencies and on what I felt like maybe the overall results were. So I was like, hey, I actually watched a YouTube video about this like Juggernaut AI, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? So, anyways, long story short, the guy gave a good review. Brandon Campbell gave a great review on it. And he's a guy that I follow for like gym equipment. So I was like, let me try that. It's only 30 bucks a month. Save me a little bit of money. We can't compete anyways because it's COVID. Everything is shut down. 30 bucks a month. Let's give it a try. I was like, let me try it for like 6 months. Fuck it. What do I have to lose? So I gave it a try, and then I had an amazing, amazing, amazing. I mean, I lifted some of the biggest weights I ever did. I mean, I ended up squatting 634 pounds, um, benching 405, and then deadlifting like fucking 565 on the same day, like mock meet prep. Of course, I wasn't on body weight. It was COVID, so I was like, I have no idea when I'm going to be competing. So I was about 10 pounds over. But anyways, long story short, I really liked the app. It was extremely intuitive, and one thing that I liked about it is like, it would automatically adjust to, I know it sounds like a commercial, I promise you. It's not, but it would automatically adjust to like, hey, if that weight felt too heavy, you could answer a question after and it would automatically change the weight for you. As opposed to you texting your coach and then
Hmm.
him, getting around to messaging you back while you're literally mid lift. That doesn't always happen. So I've been using the app. I mean, the app brought me two national championships, and it took me to worlds twice. And I
Crazy.
mean, that speaks for itself. That's crazy. But where I was fucking up was the app wasn't a real person that was there meet day. So I think I was making it very hard on myself and my handler to translate what I had been doing on training and what they think I can do on the day and what I know I can do on the day. There was, I think, a lot lost in transition and translation. And I think I made it hard on my handler by showing him just the heavy few weeks leading up to the meet, and then on meet day, expecting him to have faith in me that I can hit those weights that I say that I have been hitting without
Hmm.
him writing the program, without him understanding my training intimately because he's the motherfucker that's doing the programming for me. I think I made my job really hard on my handler, and we would sometimes go back and forth, and that wasn't a conducive environment for me to succeed. And I had to make the change, so that doesn't happen again, and um, and going forward, that's why I joined up with Joey Flex because I've heard nothing but talked to Jesus a little bit about him and everything this past nationals, and seemed like a great guy. Obviously, he coaches a bunch of winners, and on game day, he's very aggressive, and I, you know it. I'll just be honest. It really sucked to make the change. It really did. But again, with me using the Juggernaut AI app for almost 3.5 years, I there was a point I'm like, where's the fuck up happening? Why isn't what I'm doing on the app translating to meet day? And the only variable that I saw that I can control was changing handlers and changing coaching to, instead of doing the app, getting a real powerlifting coach, and then that said powerlifting coach be the same guy that's gonna be in my corner making the calls meet day, establishing an intimate relationship of being like, hey, I know Jonathan is good for XYZ because even when he told me, oh, he wasn't feeling great, he did XYZ. I'm gonna put that bet that he can do that. And I think that that's more fair to the coach and to the athlete versus some guy, like me doing a AI app program and then expecting that coach and handler to have faith in me that I can do those weights when he really doesn't know my training. You get me there?
Yeah. I mean, look at, I am absolutely shocked you did everything you did on Juggernaut AI. When you told me in the DMs that your programming was Juggernaut AI, I was rattled. I've never heard anybody achieve what you did. So then when you said, I think I'm going to, for the first time in years, move to an actual coach doing my programming side, I'm like, oh my God, Jonathan, what might come out of you now? I don't know, this is the best review for Juggernaut AI I've ever heard, but I've heard mixed bags on it. So I think absolutely, and in terms of Joey Flex, obviously his resume is fantastic. He's got
Hmm.
multiple world titles, world records under his belt. He's at all those world championships, national championships. So yeah, you're gonna be obviously in good hands. So makes total sense. But yeah, um, all that being said, so you make the move over with Joey Flex.
Hmm. And hold
Now,
on, real,
how
real
are you?
quick, Ryan. I just want
Yeah,
to
yeah.
say something for anyone listening out there. I'm 1 trillion% not putting the blame on anyone. I was privy to every single decision, and at some point in time, I could have said no. You know, just want to say that out there. I'm not putting, it's no one's fault whatsoever other than mine, because ultimately, after a lift, I can say, no, I want to do this. So 100% again, just anybody listening that may think I'm not putting it on one person or another, Ari and I are still close personal friends. I love Arian. He's a fantastic fucking coach, and on game day, he is great. He's always had my back, and I loved working with him and him allowing me to put him, unfortunate, in a very unfair position of not being my coach, but being my handler. And I can only imagine how difficult that was for him to try to make the best calls for me without being also the same person writing my programming, because he has to take my word and then also shift it through his perspective and lens and say, yeah, but if he misses,
Mm.
we'll end up here. So, I had the experience of being a handler for a good friend of mine, Lindsay, who did her first powerlifting competition, and that's tough. That's tough to do. So that's not an easy job in itself, and it was unfair for me for so long to make it hard on Arian. But fantastic handler, fantastic dude, and he's still a very close personal friend of mine. And I just felt like I needed to say that.
That's very stand up of you, and I wouldn't expect any less. Interesting though, you said like, so I would have thought after World Games, you have a new coach, you got a renewed vigor in you. Why is it that World Games in the rematch with those other two gentlemen and running it back, an opportunity to, I don't know, quote unquote, set the record straight or however, especially on a massive platform like World Games? Why is it that you don't feel overly excited or enthused for
Because I'm gonna win it. Those
it?
Not talking shit
That
or
a
anything, but
boy.
those guys weren't better than me that day. They weren't better than me that day. They weren't. They just weren't, and that's what fucks with me the most. I wish they would have lifted more than me. I didn't win because I made bad decisions. And that's what vexes me the most. It's not even like I mean, like I even told you earlier, I wish they had lifted more than me. That would have been much easier. Hey, there's work I need to do. But this was a different circumstance because I know I was a better lifter that day. And it was just, you know, and right now with the massive improvements I've been seeing, just being under a different structure and tutelage with Joey, and having that constant back and forth. And he's a great guy. I text him. I normally get a response in a few minutes. Very on the money, very on the ball, and very like, okay, try that. Okay, let's try that. Or very, hey, let's dial it back. And you need that. You need that back and forth because sometimes you feel like Superman, and sometimes you may feel like Clark Kent. Maybe not so strong. Um, Horrible analogy, but Hulk and Bruce
I
Banner, let's
got
say
you.
that.
I got you.
For my Marvel fans. Um, no, my bench has popped off significantly. My squat's been fantastic. My deadlift. I just think that my progression is constantly going up, and I think when we see each other again, I think it will be a blowout. And I don't know. I am excited to go. I think it's a big honor. I'm very excited for the competition itself, but I just I care about it, but it's not my main focus.
Really? Holy smokes. Like, first off, I love the confidence. The confidence I love. The soundbite I appreciate, and the confidence I love. So when you gave it to me like that, oh boy, first off, appreciate it. But um is the because it in China, World Games, the first time it's the classic division, all these other athletes from all these other sports are going to be there, an athlete compound, the amount of like sponsors and people that are going to watch this the experience being in China and the whole nine, but being
Hmm.
representing not only yourself, not only your supporters, representing not only your country America, but in this particular instance representing powerlifting, because all of these other sports and these athletes from these other sports where we're used to, 1,000 plus watching worlds, you're actually going to have other athletes from other sports who are competing on previous days or even same day, different compound, show up and watch too. Be like, let me see this. I heard this is going to be a good battle. People stop.
Hmm.
What day should I watch? Everybody's, if someone gets stopped and asks, what day should I watch for powerlifting? You're going to want to watch the 66s. These guys put on a hell of a show at Worlds. You're going to watch, it's a rematch. It's a rematch. You're going to want to watch it. So you're representing all those different facets as well as the chance. Do you see it as a chance for revenge, a chance to right that wrong, a chance? World Games title is as good, some people say better than a world title, or do you disagree with that? Let me unpack all this
I
because it's very interesting to me.
Yeah, I mean, my take on it is there's steps that I have to take to get there. I mean, regardless of what happens at nationals, regardless of what happens at worlds, you know, those I'm gonna lift at world games. Like, there's no fucking question. No one can take that
You
from
earned
me.
that. You already
Yeah,
earned that in the
100%.
fantastic battle.
All three of us did. So we will see each other again. But for me, I don't know. The world title, world championship title, I think for me means more than that. At least for right now. At least for right now. You know what I mean? The World Games feels very distant right
Fair.
now. I've got nationals in 3 months, less than 3 months. So it's a very like, let's get that hurdle done first, because you know, not like other countries, nationals in the US for the 66 is not a fucking walk in the park. Any
Sorry,
one of these motherfuckers can, any one
you
of these
broke the world.
motherfuckers can take my title from me. If I
You
fuck
broke
up,
the
if I don't make that decision,
you
if I
broke
don't
the
make the right
world
choices, the
record.
right moves, the right decisions, you know what I'm saying?
You
So
broke the world
this
record to
will
get to worlds.
this will be Joey and I's big test, nationals. Both my huge faith in him and his faith in me taking me on, because there's a lot on the line for both of us. We spoke about this the other day, you know, and it was almost the reason why I didn't accept the invite to Sheffield. So they had reached out to me, SBD, like at the beginning of the month. No, bullshit. In the middle of late December-ish, late December-ish. And they had broached the subject, like, hey, what's your body weight? And I'm like, Why? They were like,
Interesting question.
we might have a situation. We might need you to lift. And I'm like, holy shit. Well, I need to know. And they were like, we'll let you know no later than the 31st of December. And I'm like, fuck, what are you talking? I need to know now. I need to like completely alter my training. Like, what are you talking about? You're gonna let me know. Why even let me know now? And then I have to wait 2 weeks on pins and needles. You know what I'm saying? You're ruining my Christmas here.
or
And
or making it. We'll see.
and
But
then
yeah.
so yeah, they let me know on the second. They were like, no, actually, we don't need you. And I was like, okay, no problem. Let's just focus on nationals, Joey. Let's move forward. And then, like like a week and a half ago, maybe less, they hit me back up and they were like, hey, so about Sheffield. And I'm like, you son of a gun. Like, come on, man, you jerking me around. And I almost said no. I'll be honest. I was like, I need to think about it. I need to talk about it because prep time. I mean, literally 2 weeks here, Ryan, of cutting weight. Luckily, I don't walk around ridiculously heavy. Cutting weight, travel, getting time off of work, family arrangements. It was tough. It's tough to pull off. You know what I mean? With 2 weeks notice.
Mm.
So, but I went back and forth. I was 99% no. And I talked to my high school coach and I let him know the situation. I said, look, it's going to be terrible for me to cut weight, for me to prep so fast, um, and then travel and possibly not even compete. Not even compete, just go. How's that going to feel? And he told me something that I mean, it's just exactly what I needed to hear. He was like, "Yeah, but what if you do go? And what if? So if you
Mm.
don't go, you know exactly what will happen, which is absolutely nothing. You're saying your job will be there, it'll be exactly the same. But if you do go, there's a major what if." And what if you go? And what if you lift? And what if you break the world record? What if you will win the motherfucker? I mean, anything can happen. Look at last year. I don't think anyone expected Sheffield last year, the top three podium, to be the top three podium.
Mm.
So, in powerlifting, just like in any sport, anything can happen. And I said, you know what? Let's roll the dice. And at worst case scenario, I get a free trip to the UK and get to see the greatest powerlifting competition ever put together live in person.
It's amazing.
Doesn't sound doesn't sound like a bad deal to me.
That's a bad deal at
Doesn't
all.
sound like a bad deal to me.
Yeah. No, I totally get like you got a job that you just started 6 months ago and to give very late notice to get away from it.
Two
And
weeks,
you got a
two
family
week
as well
notice.
that you got to make arrangements with. Like it's when you're a family man with a job, it's a lot harder for someone in your position than some 22-year-old who they're a powerlifting coach. They
Hmm.
could get told at any moment, be like, say
Yeah,
less, I'm there.
say
Whereas for
less. Yeah.
yourselves, like this is difficult. I want to go, but you got to double check. But to your point, so if all that does even out, family gets taken care of, job is okay with it, cool. And then to your point of if the best case scenario, you hop on that platform and have a ridiculous day, amazing. If the worst case scenario is you are involved with the biggest event in our sport, I'm telling you right now, the event itself is amazing. The meet and greet afterwards, and they'll have you up in the meet and greet, and people are going to want to see you and talk to you, take pictures. The freaking the banquet, all of it, hanging out beforehand, all the media engagements and pictures and hanging out beforehand is amazing. Everyone's in the hotel. It's not like Worlds. There's far smaller roster, obviously. Every night, I don't gotta tell you, man, how fun it is hanging out. We've had our nights, me and you together, me, you, Taylor, out and about. Um,
Hmm.
so all the nights leading up to the night of the banquets, the everything. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. It's just an excuse to have a life moment with the people that you've known for years while you're in your athletic prime doing this. For sure, check it
Hmm.
off just to have a life moment with the people, with your fellow colleagues. And that's the worst case. If
Yeah.
that's a worst case, to your point, if that's the worst case in life, how often is that a worst case scenario where you get like
Yeah.
travel international and just have fun and
and completely for free. I mean, I'm gonna miss
For
work and there's
free.
sacrifices there. But I'll be honest with you. I want to say this too. It really rubbed me the wrong way, and I appreciate SBD. It really rubbed me the wrong way that a guy that has never been above me on the podium got picked over me, and I almost said no to that because of that. Pana has never been above me. The two times we've met internationally, one first in Africa, second in Lithuania, has never been above me on the podium, not once. So that really rubbed me the wrong way. And if you look at it from every measure and standard of our sport, if the Sheffield is about breaking world records, why is this guy who does not own a world record getting picked above me? It felt like a social media choice. It felt like a fan choice. And for me, I almost didn't agree with going to what's more important in the sport right now, being an influencer or being the strongest guy or having a world record or potentially breaking two world records. Um, what's more important in the sport? What is the Sheffield? And I almost didn't want to be a part of that. I'm going to be completely honest because of that you know but I can see somewhat the business aspect of it. um the more popular guy, sure, the guy with the more fans, sure. But again, when you look at the meat and potatoes of our sport and why I personally love this sport and think it's the best sport in the world, there's black and white in powerlifting. There's no room for gray. Ryan, if we compete and you lift 1 kilo more than me or weigh 3 ounces less than me and we tie, you win. You're the better guy. And what that was a hard pill for me to swallow and kind of agree with was okay, Pana is for sure going and I'm his reserve or I'm the reserve behind him. That makes absolute no sense by any measurement that we any standardized measurement that we use in powerlifting. And one can say, well, he has two world titles and you don't. But you don't go to the Super Bowl based on previous seasons. And that just didn't sit right with me, and it still doesn't sit right with me. And I'll make up for it either at the Sheffield or Worlds or World Games. I'll make up for that, but that's a debt Pana owes me.
I love the rivalry continues. Look at, I don't fault athletes when they view it like you view it right there, because you guys are competitive athletes, and everything you put in the way you and Penna both describe quote unquote losing worlds, despite the fact you're both worlds medalists. Most people are like, you didn't lose. Geez, that seems like a harsh language to use when you're a world's medalist. But the way you guys feel, you both feel, it's I totally understand. And yes, like in the rest of the public would be, he's he's a two-time world champ. He's unofficially broke the world record, so he's capable.
So
He did it at
so have
French
I though,
nationals.
and I feel
I know you
and
did
I
it
feel
American
like
nationals. No, I think
exactly.
you're
So it's
phenomenal
like
pick too.
what I mean.
I
There
think you're a
when there's no
phenomenal pick as
travel
well.
involved. Hey, fuck.
Right, right. No, hey,
I
I
get it,
I'm not.
I get it, but I just I can't feel, but I can't help but feel the way that I feel, and it is what it is. I'm not bashing SBD. I'm not bashing the IPF because I know the IPF is very Euro sport centric, you know, and the way that I see it, no confirmation on this was if I'm the IPF, I'm like, there's way too many fucking Americans as is. We should have just held this motherfucker in Austin, Texas for all the Americans that are here. Would have saved everybody some airfare and some SBD some money. But at the same time, it should be about those deserving. It should be about those that prove themselves leading up to the competition, not about who has, you know, all the social media followers or anything like that, because it's not an influencer event, it's a powerlifting event. That's my personal opinion, and I'll leave it at that.
Fair enough. But one person is going. I want to get your opinion on. Kjell announced after Worlds that he's dropping down to 66s. Now, this has got
Mhm.
tons of hype. What was your impression when you heard the announcement? What's your impression on all the hype surrounding him dropping to the 66s?
I think it's good. The thing is, man, how old is he? I don't know how old he is.
He's 35 with
Okay, so
kids,
he's actually younger
job.
than me. He's actually younger than me. Okay. I don't really know the guy. You know, he sent me a really cool DM on Instagram. That's about as much interaction as I've had with him after I won nationals. And I think he's a cool guy. I think he's a stand-up guy. You know, he's a gentleman. I'm actually very interested to see because cutting that much, I mean, he was what, 72, right?
Well, he was a 74 kilo lifter. He has lifted as
hmm
a light 83 at times, even
hmm
if you could imagine. So
I'm
yeah, he's
interested
a
to
large guy.
see. I don't, like we discussed last time. I don't really follow any of these other 66s on social media, so it's not a big thing that like I don't know what his lifts are. I don't care just because that doesn't affect my training whatsoever. Um, so again, I still don't follow King of the Lifts, and even I would if you shared my shit, but you don't.
I'm
So
going to
I'm
share
just
your shit
kidding.
before this drops. I'm sharing your shit before this drops.
Whatever. Yeah,
That's
and
my
then you know
word.
what you do? You post. See, you're a cheeky bastard because what you'll do is you'll post a lift on me, and then you'll make a Pana post right after.
No, I will not.
And you know
No,
what
I
I
will
mean?
not.
That's real
No, I
cheeky,
will
Ryan.
not.
I'm gonna call you
No,
the
I
fuck
will
out on
not.
your own podcast. That's real
I
cheeky. That's
I
real
promise
cheeky.
I
You've
won't.
done that several times.
Have I really?
Hey,
Okay,
he's
well,
your
I won't
friend,
this time.
and I get it, but I'm also your friend too, damn it.
You're more my
Um,
friend.
no,
Yeah.
um, fuck, what was I gonna say? You threw me off with your bullshit.
We're talking about Shell,
No,
the weight cut.
no, I'm interested to see. I mean, I know he's a huge deadlifter. I know he's a huge deadlifter. I know that I know that he's got huge potential. The only thing, man, to be a grown ass man in your mid 30s and walk around and weigh in at 145 pounds, it's tough.
Mm.
I've been doing it for a while, and I'm short as fuck, and I know he is too. So I get a bit of an edge there, you know, because I'm just not gonna weigh that much. Um, I'm interested to see. I'm interested. I don't know how his training is going. I don't know how his prep's going. I don't know how his diet's going. I mean, shit, I can show anything 10 pounds over and it'd be impressive and not let anybody know that I'm 160 pounds. You know what I mean? So I mean, I'm interested to see that. I think it's good for the sport. I think it's good for the weight class. I welcome anybody to the 66s. I don't own the 66s. Two-time national champion, unofficial broke the world record, sure. But I don't own it. I welcome everybody. I want all the young up and coming guys. I want the Brandon Lees. I want the what is his name? Austin. Nikolai, right?
Awesome. Look
And
yeah.
it's
Yep. Yep.
yeah, I want him. I want all those guys because the more the more 66s that are killers out there, the better it is for me and the weight class and the sport in general. People like the battles. People want to see that shit. If I go and pull an Austin Perkins and just win, nothing against Austin, but that's kind of boring. If you just go and completely fucking dominate, that's awesome for like Instagram reels but like people know he's gonna win anyways. You know what I'm talking about? I think
Mm.
that iron sharpens iron, and I welcome any competitor who can lift more than me. It's only gonna want to push me more. I'm interested to see his total. As someone who's cut weight before and let myself get a little bench, it's gonna be interesting. I know his squat is not. His squat's nowhere near mine. Um, I'm interested to see how it affects the bench because I always feel like when I cut a lot of weight, the bench is my biggest, like, where the fuck did my strength go?
Oh,
You know what I
really?
mean? And I know his deadlift is huge, so he's gonna have that pony and ready to prance. But I'm interested to see where the bench is because by the squat, you're kind of already hydrated and eating and drinking, and you're almost feeling back to normal. And anybody who has cut weight before kind of knows this. By deadlifts, you're feeling froggy again. I'm interested to see that. I'll be watching. Obviously, I'll be there live watching. So,
What do you think about, because people were saying previously, like obviously in training, he was hitting crazy numbers like 800 kilos total, but it's dropped down a little bit to the late 700s. Now I asked Kasemsand, I asked Pana, and some of the other 66s, like, what does this mean to you? Because people are saying he's making 66s rethink what's possible. And both Pana and Kasemsand didn't flinch. And they were like, look it, let him come, let him bring his 800. We're hoping to improve anyways. These are Kasemsand said at some point I wanted to shoot towards 800 at some point in my career anyways. Now I got to speed up the timeline. Good. That's what competition does, right? Do those kind of numbers, when you hear it, intimidate you? Have you been paying attention to his page and seeing what he's doing? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I just mentioned to you, I don't follow anybody on the 66s. So I don't follow, like, I don't pay attention to other lifters, what they do. I feel like that's very distracting to my training, my mindset. I really try to protect that as much as I can. My training, my mindset, my focus, those are variables that I can control. If Custom Stand pulls, fucking, I don't know, fucking 300, 300 kilo deadlift. I mean, what does that affect me and my training and the variables that I can control that day? I think a lot of guys get so into the resharing and reposting on Instagram that they can kind of mind fuck themselves into not performing well. Or even worse, I think, feeling the pressure to post a counter post. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
Like, oh, he did that, I'll do this. But that's not in your programming. The Instagram reels or the social media posts or the TikTok or whatever, like while that is cool, your main focus as an athlete should be your program, your program, your program, your program. Because while, King of Lifts may share it and it's hyped and get a bunch of likes and views and reshares and, get your exposure out there while it's good, you're going to be a sad guy on meet day if you burnt yourself out by maxing too fucking much and you now those weights that you showed on social media are nothing close to what you're hitting. And you and I both know quite a few lifters that, man, they're fucking getting it on Instagram. And then when they go to meet day, they are several kilos way underneath what you're showing me on Instagram. Pana's one of them. There's a few lifters out there. You're like, that was fucking crazy. And on meet day, you're nowhere near that. You're hurting yourself, man. You're hurting yourself. Instagram don't matter. This little phone recording, you know, it don't matter. What matters is meet day. So sorry, that's a long-winded question or answer for your question. But what I think about it, no, it doesn't intimidate me. I'd be very interested to see if he can get even close to that on meet day because I'm telling you, man, cutting that much weight, it really does affect you. And sometimes as men and athletes, we can be a bit bullheaded and be like, nah, that's not gonna, I'll still have the sauce. I'll still do it. But them last fucking few pounds you need to cut when you hop on the scale, man, and you're 148.5 pounds and you're like, fuck, I got three left. Those few pounds, I'm telling you, I've been there. Whew, they cost. They are costly. And you may not realize it until and then you throw travel in there. You throw variables in there. I'm interested to see it. I'm excited. I want him to do it. That'd be fantastic. Set the bar higher, and the cream will always rise to the top. And the motherfuckers that make excuses will always be motherfuckers that make excuses. So I like to see it. I hope he does.
it's interesting you mentioned everyone's can't help but point out it's the last few pounds because people are saying, look, his body weight's getting relatively lower and the weights are
Hmm.
staying higher. But this is what people are pointing to. It's the last few pounds, though.
Yeah.
It at the
Motherfuckers
last
have
few
been there.
pounds,
They've been there and done that. They've been
yeah,
there and done that. They know.
yeah,
They fucking
yeah,
know. When it's
right.
when it's 3 a.m. and the next day's meet day, you're butt ass naked in your hotel room, hopping on the scale, hoping that the nap you just took burnt off 6 fucking ounces, and you hop on there and you're still 4 pounds over. It's a bit of a mind fuck. It's a bit of a mind fuck. And then you can't go back to bed because you got to cut a few more
Mm.
pounds before you get to go back to sleep. It's a tremendous undertaking, and it's a tremendous ask on the body to be much lighter, but still be the same strength. It's a tremendous ask. If he does it, I'll be the first one to congratulate him. That is outstanding. But this man took an undertaking completely separate from lifting weights that, in my personal opinion, is just as huge as the actual lifting of the weight itself. And that's the challenge mentally, physically of cutting that weight. So let's see. I hope he does it. I'll be very impressed.
Is it good, do you think, to have, and I know like so you're pretty detached from social media, but is it good, do you think, to have a 66 genering this kind of attention? I'll tell you right now, if you're unaware that he is genering a lot of attention.
Hmm.
He is a very heavy favorite to win Sheffield, and people are very excited about it. Regardless
Hmm.
if his number's crazy, like 800, or if it's more human. Matt Gary was on the preview show that just dropped, and Matt Gary said, pretty sure he'll be closer to the mid 700s. Okay, which
Hmm.
is a lot closer to the other 66s.
And Matt Gary
Do you
knows his
th-
shit. Matt Gary's a fucking gangster. He knows his shit. Same thing with the Nationals preview when everyone was saying that, oh, remember last year people were saying, oh, 750, 760, he's gonna hit da 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 da. And what did Matt Gary say? Matt Gary said the motherfucker who wins is gonna go 9 for 9. It's probably gonna be somewhere around 710, 715.
you hit
What happened?
717 and a half?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we as lifters, of course, we want to say that we can do these Herculean efforts and damn anybody who says otherwise. I've said it myself. Of course. I'm gonna be the first CC6 to squat 300 pounds. Straight up. Or 300 kilos.
Kilos,
Straight
yeah, yeah.
up. That's my goal.
That's gonna be
300
crazy.
kilos, and I can leave the sport and know that that motherfucking squat's gonna stand for a long time until my son breaks it. So that's my new goal, right? My new goal, we're going to shoot for 200, we're going to 200 bench, 600 kilo squat. That's my new goal going forward. Joey's fully on board with that. That's the game plan. Before I retire from this sport, you'll see those numbers out of me. But I know I have to earn them. I'm not just going to boast and say that's what's going to happen next to me. That's ridiculous, but I don't even know where I was going with this. Yeah, I think Matt Gary's right on point. It's gonna be somewhere around mid sevens, probably like 740, 730. You know, um, again, it's a live sporting event that anything can happen. Squats can be counted too high. The new press rule. I don't know how this guy benches. If it's normal, if it's super wide, the butt can come up. Oh shit! I'm talking about a soft lockout. Grip can slip. There's a lot going on there. So with powerlifting, and that's why I love powerlifting, is very that when you're out there on the platform, you're very naked. There's nothing you can hide behind. You can't say, well, Ryan didn't make that catch or didn't make that tackle. It's so raw, and that's why I think it's funny they call it raw lifting, because there's no facade there. There's nothing you can hide behind. You know what I'm talking about? And I think that's why this sport is so beautiful and it's so pure because you are out there completely naked with your emotions, and everything that you are on the platform is worked behind the scenes that no one really saw and no one can truly appreciate but you and and the ones closest to you, the sacrifices you made to be that lifter on that day. I just think it's something beautiful about that, and vice versa, something ugly about it. If you took shortcuts, if you didn't do your training, if you didn't do your accessories, if you didn't do the lifts that you needed to do and stick to program, and then you have nobody to blame but yourself on the day of the competition when you don't do the weights you need to do.
They say you don't remember all the days you put in at the gym. You remember the days you skipped when it comes to the day
100%.
of.
100%. The
Those
day
will
of is
haunt you.
shows the work. That's the check. You wrote the check. You wrote the check in training, but payday is meet day. Can you cash
Mm.
that motherfucker? Or will it bounce?
Oh shit, dude, that's very
That's pretty funny,
fucking bars,
right?
dude. Wow.
I
Oh,
just made that off the cuff too. I swear
I
to
think it's amazing,
God.
dude. That's gotta. I'm taking that caption, and that's gonna be the caption underneath your post. But that's
Let's do
amazing.
it. Let's do
Um,
it.
do you like the? I was gonna say though, do you like the tension your class is getting? The 66s, they're hot right now. Everybody's talking about the 66s. The Nationals, killers. At the national level, phenomenal. World's sensational battle. Like the rest of the powerlifting community couldn't stop talking about it. Heading into Sheffield, a 66 shells has got all this attention. And the 66s right now are so red hot, and you're in the middle of it. You're at US Nationals. You already got your ticket to World Games. Let's see what happens for Worlds. You're gonna be at Sheffield. It's like do because you've been there for other years where the attention for the 66s hasn't been there nearly as much. And as of late, particularly in the last year, my God, you must be like,
Mhm.
okay, we're finally getting the eyeballs.
I think yeah, I mean it's amazing. You know, it's what Oscar's trying to do for the 56, no, 52s, 54s,
59s. Yeah, 59s.
59s,
But yeah, you're right.
59s.
Waskar
You
is
know,
attempting.
he just needs more comp, you
Right.
know, because he's Michael Jordan playing against high school kids. You know what I mean? He's a great lifter, a great guy, but he doesn't have that. He doesn't have the titans around him. See, no one would have given a shit about Hercules if he had no titans to defeat. He's just a strong guy. I think for me, the hero is really his merit, his greatness is only measured by those he defeats around him. You see what I'm saying? So the greater
Mm.
your competition, the greater you'll become. And that's why I say I welcome these motherfuckers. Drop down. Let's go. Drop down. Let's battle. Because if I beat you, or when I beat you, then that's my legend. That's my, you see what I'm saying? That it's growing. And that's why I just think like for Perk, he almost should move up, you know? Because he's just
Mm.
landslide victory. And I mean, his weights are impressive. Crazy strong athlete. But at the same time, where's his greatness being fueled from? Because for me, I want the motherfucker who's in the wings behind me to to push me forward. I gotta get this. He's right on my heels, and I think that fuels my greatness. Maybe other lifters may think otherwise. They like the coast. They like the hey, I show up and I win. But for me, what pulls greatness out, what pulls big lifts out, epic moments and stories worth telling is the athletes that we compete against, not necessarily the weights we lift.
Mm. Yeah, it's the difference between having one of these local meets and just blowing up a local meet or having to run through a US Nationals like you have and the world
Hmm.
championships like you have.
Hmm.
That's a whole nother ball game. So when someone blows up a local meet and has a big total, that's good. I'm not saying it's not good, but
Hmm.
it's another ball game when you go head to head with some all-time greats.
No, absolutely. And I think again, just would Michael Jordan's legacy been as good if he wasn't playing against the guys he was playing against? You know what I mean?
Mm.
So I
Well,
and I mean, I'd like to see if Shell, right? His name is Shell.
yeah,
If
that's
he
right.
does stay down for the rest of the year, whether I don't know, like his nationals, if he does 66, and we get to compete against each other at Worlds. You know what I mean? So it's interesting to see. I see his point though. Like if he can secure the bag, I ain't mad at him. You know what I mean? If he can win Sheffield and win that prize money, I ain't mad at him. I see why he's doing it. Um, but yeah, I mean, dude, for me, man, I'm very excited about what this year can bring. I think for me, as difficult as it was to making the changeover to a different team, a different platform, a different coach, I think that it was for my betterment, and I'm very excited to see the results. I see it already in my training. I blew 270 up the other day.
Mm.
No bullshit. I think I had one more in me. You know what I'm saying? So, I benched in this prep 190 kilos. That's almost a 20-pound PR for me. Just changing technique up and doing bench the right way in a sense where I'm not over benching or under benching. It's just perfect. And I'll be honest, and Joey tell you too, I fought the training a lot. I was like, but what if this and this doesn't feel right and this doesn't like this is not what I normally do. And what do you mean
Mm.
RPE of 7 when that felt way light? But again, it's the I think the benefit that I was or the disservice I was doing to myself doing the Juggernaut AI was not having a real powerlifting coach being like, hey, there's a reason, Jay, why I'm having you do this. Just listen. You know what I mean? So I'm
Would
excited for
you? Yeah,
what's coming up. I think it's. Hmm?
no, sorry, I was going to say,
No, 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 go ahead.
100%. It makes total sense to have an actual human feedback, and to actually a human will be You could say, I think the RPE is this, and they could say, excuse me, no, it wasn't. Or you could say, I think I held the
Yeah,
bench
yeah,
long
yeah,
enough, or like your
yeah.
coach will call you to the standards of the lifts, the standards of the weight, the standards of, and the AI is not going to be able to hold you to that. Joey will cut you straight.
hmm Hey, Ryan, can I pause for just a second?
Yeah, let's do a
Is that
quick
okay?
pause, sir. Oh, shit. Okay, I was going to ask you with the talk of people cutting weight in Sheffield, etc. Have you ever thought about shifting weight, either cutting weight, adding weight, or you will lifetime 66 from here on out, and that's that? Once for some reason I think you're muted, or uh-oh. Mm-mm. Yeah. All right, sir. So I just asked you if you ever thought about yourself cutting weight, if you ever thought about dropping down. Can you imagine? You talked about Waskar at the 59s needing some competition. Did it ever cross your mind, hey, you know what? Maybe I drop down and shake up the tree a little bit.
Man, so when we spoke last time, remember I told you that when I started powerlifting, it was a completely different division. It was the IPL. I was in Wescar's weight class, and it was just too tough. It was too
Mm.
naturally. I'm a bigger guy, muscular, and it just was. I got to the point where my strength was pushing me way past the weight class. I think that could I drop down and just secure a world championship? Absolutely. 100%. I could. It'd be tough. It'd suck. And I hate cardio. But of course I could. But I feel like that would be a cheesy win. I feel like that would be, I mean, not dishonorable, but I feel like it would be a cheese win. You know what I'm talking about? Like if I made weight, I would win. And nothing whatsoever against Waskar. Fantastic lifter. You know what I mean? But if I could just keep 90% of what I can do, you know what I'm saying? It would be very feasible, but I think it'd be a cheese win. I wouldn't want to drop down a weight class to just get a W and say, oh, I was world champion that year. I want to earn it. I'm the kind of athlete that wants to earn it, man. I don't want that shit given to me. That would be boring. That would be cheesy. I don't want that shit, bro.
What about dude, that's crazy. You are a very confident young man. But how about this though? What if you won a world title at 66 and had the opportunity of dropping down and potentially grabbing another two world titles? Like, I mean, literally, I think only a couple people in the history of the IPF have done that. Or is it because look, I want to finish this story at 66. You got world games, you got world title, whatever. Let's say you start picking these up. At that point, would you be like, whoa, what if I became a two weight class, two division world champ, which literally I think only two other people have done?
I don't know. I don't know. Being 130 something pounds is tough. It's tough.
Mhm.
As a grown man, it's tough. Um, Shit, what even is that in
Nu-
pounds? I don't know.
Nutrition is
130, right?
the what we know about nutritionists now in terms of like from back in your previous lifting days when you were lighter. Like it won't feel as bad, maybe. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there because you see Agatha Shitko winning Sheffield. You see what the hype around Shell, and it's like these are options now that people they're getting nutritionists that are doing crazy things. It's just something that you throw out and you're like,
Mhm.
I wonder what the hell would happen.
Yeah.
But
It'd be tough, man. It'd be tough. It'd be I couldn't say for sure right now. Let my main focus is to secure the bag with the 66. Let's win nationals, you know. Let's go to Sheffield first. See what happens. Somebody drops out. SBD says, "You know what? I'm gonna let the dog off the leash. So one thing I've been doing that's a bit cheeky, if you haven't noticed, I don't know if you follow me. I've been showing my training on
I follow
Instagram
you.
on live. And here's why I've been doing it on live. Because I want people to know that I am so confident in my training and my ability right now and my strength that I'm posting the entire workout on live. Because here's the difference between a live and just like a 30-second clip of me lifting, mad heavy, 600-pound squat. If I fuck up and I eat shit on that squat, or I don't think it's deep enough, or I don't think that, or whatever the case may be, I cannot post that and just be like,
Mm.
it never happened. No post, it didn't happen, right? If I
You
don't
can
post, I go to the gym that I even work out. So I've been doing it on Instagram Live, and just to be a little extra cheeky, whisper in the ears of the IPF or SBD, hey, I'm super fucking confident, coach, that if you put me in the game, I'm gonna win that motherfucker. So we're doing it live. There's no hiding. There's no, I set that camera up and I just go bam, 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 bam. And I just think it's cool. A lot of lifters don't do it because, again, if I eat shit,
mm.
I eat it on live. You see what I'm saying? So for me, I was like, hey, how can I express to the world that I'm not to say that I'm back because I didn't go nowhere, but that I'm ready, I'm strong, and I'm ready to lift at Sheffield. And again, let's just see what happens. You know what I'm saying? If they decide to let the dogs off the leash and people want to see the 66 battle again at Sheffield because Kasemsand's going to be there, Pana's going to be there again, let's fucking go. What are you waiting on? If everybody truly thinks that that is the best battle of the year or in the history of powerlifting, why the fuck am I not lifting?
Mm.
Fucking go. What are you doing? Let the dog off the leash. Let him out the yard. Let him play a little bit. Let him lift some weights and see what happens. If everybody truly thinks that, as you say, I don't think that. I'm not saying that. But if everyone else truly does, then why not let me lift? Let's do it. Why wait for the World Games? Why give Eurosport the views when we can give Sheffield the views? I'm just saying.
If you got that call, even if last minute, and I'm assuming a guy like you're not you were going to grind right up to the last minute, right up to the last day. You get that call. Are we expecting a PR total from you?
Oh, 100 million%. 100 million%. Absolutely. Right now, all bullshit aside, I'm probably good for about no bullshit. 7:30. Just gonna be honest. I mean, I'm gonna full transparency. 7:30. I'm probably good for a 285 squat, 190 bench, 265, maybe 270 deadlift. Let's go. I mean,
Mm.
that's full fucking transparency right there. I cannot, and you know me, I'm not one to boast. Those are real numbers that I can hit today, but we'll see. There's no point in hiding it. We'll see it eventually. So,
Couple quick questions before I let you go here. You've had some phenomenal performances. What do you think is your proudest moment so far in powerlifting?
mm. How's more for me? NAPF
What's that, sorry?
because in the NAPF because I had just came back from failing miserably at nationals, having that emergency appendectomy, being very sick, recovering from surgery very quickly, and then regaining all of my strength back and more in a very short, less than 90-day period, um, and breaking the world record, you know, in less time than when I was told that I could lift safely again. I needed that win way more than I thought I did.
Mm.
And I think for me, that is the proudest moment for myself in powerlifting as far as competition, just because I was lifting in that one for fun, not for any titles, not to break a world record. I was just lifting in the meet for fun and had a great competition, my best competition till that point. And that competition for me I was very proud of it because of my performance so quickly, and that meet made me like powerlifting again. Because after not performing well at nationals, um, and letting Brandon Lee win, it's a major bummer. You know what I mean? And I started not to like powerlifting. There was too many L's. And I'm like, man, again. And, beating myself up, really tearing myself down. That meet made powerlifting more fun for me or made it fun again for me. And no, just proud of myself for going back out there. I was like, fuck, man, my next meeting will be the nationals. What if I don't win nationals? What if I'm not ready? What if? And I just rolled the dice. SBD didn't pay for that meet. I paid for that meet out of pocket, and I just went for it. I signed up. I told Arian, we're going. Let's go. And we went and broke my world record and had an amazing total, amazing day.
Yeah, I still remember that. I remember the storyline going into it. And sometimes when an athlete or a lifter they need this one. This could rally them back up. This could bring them back up. And obviously we know after that, you carry that momentum right through to from nationals all the way to the world championships. But you see that turning point and like, oh, he needs a win right now. He could use a win right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And one thing too that I have to say, and I don't think I've ever said before, is that meet was just really cool to see the other lifters. So like I made a YouTube video on this. I don't know if I described it well, but that meet was it was so awesome in so many different ways that I have never experienced as an athlete or lifter before. Was I had so many people coming to me wanting a photo, wanting an autograph, things like that, that I feel like in other competitions of the higher standard, not to say that NAPF is not a high standard, but you know what I'm talking about. Um, Maybe shy away from that. Maybe that they want to, but they don't because, we're the elite. You know what I'm saying? Versus like those guys were so humble, they were so cool. They wanted to come up to me and ask me questions on lifting. And I don't know,
Wow.
man. I just like it was so awesome to be around lifters that just thought it was cool to be at a competition and wanted to live to have fun. And were these guys necessarily the top 1% elite of powerlifters? No, they're up and coming guys starting their journey. And it was nice to be reminded of myself as an up and coming lifter and nice to see these guys getting it and getting after it and lifting for the sake of lifting and having fun versus being like, everything is riding on the line on this because national is very tense, world is very tense. And I don't know, I just enjoyed myself, man. I thought it was such a cool meet to go to.
It's NAPFs. It's a mixed bag because you have lifters from certain nations that are kind of on the rise, right? And they don't know, like to your point, they're not the big stars that you might see at Worlds. On the flip side, you have sprinkled in stars that everyone knows been in battles at the World Championships, like yourself. You'll have Ray Williams. You'll have like Gavin Aiden broke his world record there as well. Like you have this like Lane Norton. You have like serious star power showing up on this and some big resumes. So it's like a sprinkling and a meshing of both, which is fun to watch sometimes. And it's international judging.
Yeah, absolutely. And I felt like a superstar, man. Everybody's like, "Can I get a photo? Can I get a picture?" And everyone was just happy for me being there, and I was happy for them being there. I was like, man, this is powerlifting needs more of this. And
Mm.
um, I think that in order for our sport to grow, we need more of what you and I are doing right now. We need more human connection to the lifter, not just the lifts, because the lifts are going to come. We're all strong, but I think the human connection behind it is what's lacking in the sport. And I think that what you do is absolutely fantastic. It's a tremendous boon to the sport, and I thank you so much personally for allowing me to come on here several times, talk about myself, put some of my legacy down to paper. You know what I mean? So other lifters, other up and comings, my son one day can listen to it and know me more as a person. and as an athlete and everything in between, and giving glimpses to the fans, as into our personal lives, because a lot of guys don't post social media stuff personal, they don't. They post big lifts and that's it. Um,
Mm.
and I think people respond to the human connection. We're all having a human experience. And I think what brings real fans to the sport is getting to know the person behind the facade of the powerlifter and showing some vulnerability and some relatability. And I think that, what you're doing, what we did right after Worlds, I think that immediately resonated with people. Again, Pana, Kasemsand, all of us sharing that story live after what, less than 24 hours, less than 12 hours after it happened was awesome. And I think that our sport needs more of that. I think you're the huge pioneer of that. And I think that people one day when powerlifting is huge will look back and say, that King of Lifts page really
Oh,
started.
stop.
I
Dude, I
think
appreciate the shit out of you, man. Seriously.
And who else is doing it? I mean, I've been on a couple other podcasts, but this one, it feels like the big one. This one feels like more ears are going to listen, more eyes are going to be on it, and you're fantastic at what you do, and do not ever undercut yourself on what you're doing for the sport, and you're doing it completely for free. I'm not paying you to be on here, and you're not paying me to be on here. And I think that that speaks volumes for what you're trying to do, for your character, and for your growth in the sport. I think that your head should be on the Mount Rushmore of powerlifting because, again, you're allowing the fans a glimpse into my personal life, into other lifters' lives. And I think that the sport needs more of that, bro. We need to be on TV more. We need to be on radio more. I mean, I know some guys don't want to see powerlifting grow, but it's inevitable. It's just at what rate? Why isn't powerlifting an Olympic sport right now?
Mm.
It's ridiculous. And it's because of the exposure. We need more exposure. And what you're doing is awesome, man. So keep it up, please.
I appreciate you, dude. I mean, ever since, I mean, it's been years now that you've been coming on the podcast, but your story, anyone listening, we have new people entering powerlifting all the time. If somebody hasn't heard your original KOTL podcast, my God, do they got to go back and listen. Such a phenomenal story. You got a very inspirational story where you've come from and where you've been able to achieve just pulling yourself up and literally all by your damn self. Not just you, your brother, the whole nine to where you are now. It's phenomenal. And everything you've been able to achieve. And I just saw the last little pieces of the life, when you're like already in your 30s. Your story's phenomenal, man. You've made it this far. And thank you. I know like it's not easy going on a podcast like KOTL previously when you said all your background story or at Worlds when you're in it and it's still fresh and to go in there and be like, I got to do this. People expect this. People want to see this. People want to hear from us. Like those sports that we're trying to be. We want to be like a big mainstream sport. When those guys, if it's the championship game, you lose the game, you still go out because your fans showed up in the stands and watched you, and you're like, I don't want to, but I'm gonna face it. I'm gonna go out
Yeah.
there. I'm gonna talk about it because some kids are tuning in and they want to hear from me right now and you
Yeah.
stay up all night and it chews you up. You're like, no, I gotta fucking do this. And our sport needs this. It needs it more than these other sports that already have it. And for you to be like, no, I'm gonna sit down and let's relive this fucking thing. All right.
That
Dude,
was
it's
just challenging, man. That was tough. That was tough to sit there, you know. But I think, all three of us didn't take that meat for granted. I truly believe Pana and Kasemstan knew how fucking close it was. And I don't think that Kasemstan, I don't know him as a person. I really don't. But had I won at that capacity, I don't think I would have felt like a world champion. I don't. You won on a technicality. You won on a rule. You didn't lift more than me. You didn't lift more than Pana. I think that I'd be interested when the dust settles and we see each other at World Games. or maybe before, who knows. Have that conversation with him. How did it feel? Do you feel like world champion? I'm sure the title means a lot, but I mean, at the same time, it's got to be a weird win. And I thought about that for him. I really did. I got so caught up in myself and my own feelings and my own bullshit about it. I was like, well, wow, how does that motherfucker feel?
Hmm.
And does he even feel like a world champion? He didn't lift more than me. He didn't lift more than Pana. Does he? Like, that's got to fuck with a power lifter. Our sport is winning on how much you lift more than me. So I'm interested to see him face to face again and have that conversation. Like, how did that feel? You know what I mean? Because I was so caught up in my own bullshit that it took me a while to be like, man, I wonder how that man feels about that. You know what I mean? It's got to be,
You
I don't
drop
know. I'm interested.
you dropping sound bites like crazy tonight. You're on fucking fire, by the way.
I'm speaking from the heart, man. If you're, I mean, I would, if I told myself I'm gonna do something like this, let's speak from the heart, because one, for anybody listening out there, I want them to know me as a person, know the man behind the powerlifter. Because when powerlifting is done, I would just be left with the man. So, whatever legacy I leave behind it's the path, the journey to get to the end point. You know what I mean? Am I in a rush to be done with powerlifting? No, I'm not. Um, do I one day want to hang it up? Absolutely. I can't do this forever. But, the legacy that I leave behind, I get to choose how that's shaped. And I think that um, being honest, full transparency, is the way to do it for me, at least my path. I can come on here and be like, puff my chest and be like, I'm the greatest, da 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 da. But that's not how I want to be viewed. When it's all said and done, I want people to be like, you know what? That motherfucker had no quit in him. And that's the legacy that I want to leave behind. This motherfucker did not quit. I mean, look at how many nationals I got second. I got third in. Now two-time national champion.
Hmm.
Three-time national champion in a few months. So I want that to be the legacy. Hey, this motherfucker.
I love, dude. You're on fire.
No, I'm being honest, man. I'm just being honest. I'm just being honest. It would take a miracle for me not to win nationals. I know that sounds so cocky. I'm sorry. No, I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you, training has gone crazy great, man. It's gone crazy good. I'm at a great body weight and still killing it. Me and Joey are making a great team so far, and I am nothing but excited for the future. It's the shakeup that I needed, and I am falling in love with myself as a lifter and recently falling in love with myself as a person. Whereas before in my life, I'll share this quickly with you. I know this is droning on. I found myself not being happy with my achievements, but beating myself up for my failures. And I have learned to, as a man, appreciate. See, like when I won nationals, I'll be 100% honest with you. I didn't feel a feeling of relief or sorry, happiness that I won. I just felt a relief that it was over.
Wow.
And when I didn't win worlds, I felt all the negative feelings. And I had to reevaluate myself with help as to why that's happening. I mean, I could say that I had, I mean, fucking world record breaking performance at nationals. It couldn't have gone any better. And I wasn't happy about it.
So
I just,
why do you think that was?
because I wasn't really loving myself the way that I needed to. I wasn't appreciating myself, and looking at my accomplishments in a way that I would be proud of. One thing that I worked on is like, what if my son did that? Fuck, I'd be over the moon for him. Oh my
Yes.
God. But why not have that same love and grace for myself? You see what I'm saying? So I
Mm.
needed to work on some mental me to give myself grace in my feelings, but also celebrate myself and love myself at my victories. You see what I'm saying? And as a person who's had a lot on his shoulders for a very long time, I think that I just kind of forgot to love myself, and I kind of forgot to appreciate the person that I am for me, not for my kids, not for my partner, not for my job or my employer, but for me as a person, like Jonathan, like lifting, like me, apart from lifting and with lifting, because it's a big part of my life. And yeah, just celebrate. I'm excited to be on the platform again. I'm excited to lift again, and just appreciate the moment and appreciate whatever outcome comes. It was weird after nationals. I was excited to like it just to be over. I wasn't like happy that I won. I was just
Hmm.
excited that it was finally fucking over and I got to relax for a little bit. And I had to really assess myself and dig deep and just kind of restructure my core values on. I almost quit lifting, to be honest with you. I was like, I don't know if this is something I want to continue if all I feel is a sense of relief when it's done and a sense of embarrassment, shame, sadness whenever it doesn't go my way. Like, why am I doing this? It's not
Hmm.
fun. You know what I mean? And yeah, just again, man, just had to reassess and kind of relearn to love myself as a person separate from powerlifting. So think the future. I'm just very excited for the outcome. Very excited just to be in a competition again. I'm going to be buzzing at Sheffield. Hopefully, I get to lift, but if I don't, man, I'll just be. I want to be. I want to marinate in the atmosphere and be there and see the sights and hear the sounds. I'm just super excited for it, man. I think that this past few months, I've had a deep dive journey into self discovery that, as a middle aged man, was way long overdue spiritually, mentally. And yeah, man, I feel like a brand new person going into the future. And yeah, man, I'm just excited for the future every single day, and I'm excited for the outcome of this next season. This next powerlifting season is gonna be wild, bro. We got Sheffield, we got nationals, we got world games. So that's UK, Atlanta,
Germany
Germany,
and
and then
China.
freaking all in the same year, bro. It's crazy. I feel blessed. I've been, connecting more with my spiritual side. I feel blessed. And that's something that in 2025, I want to complain less and celebrate more. And, my life is full of blessings, and I just need to open my eyes to them and realize that, you know, how blessed am I to still be here on earth, still be, I'm 36 years old, still be in the prime of my life, competing with giants in a giant sport. And man, it just feels like a blessing, bro. I'm so excited for the future.
Dog, I appreciate you coming on. It's Friday night. We're at
Friday
10
night.
p.m. and you gave me your Friday night, and I appreciate the shit out of you for doing this, dog. I'm gonna see you in Sheffield, and let me end on this, and maybe it's foreshadowing. Last year's alternate was Shell. This year's favorite is Shell. This year's alternate is Jonathan Garcia, my friend. Keep trucking. This is only the first step of the new season, and I'll see you in a freaking week. Isn't that crazy?
I'll see you in a week, bro.
See you, buddy. Have a good one.
Thanks for having me on, Ryan. I appreciate it, man.
You bet.